Co-founder of the TOGA Group, Charlotte Vidor AM pioneered the serviced apartment sector in Australia and has indelibly shaped communities through her work in development, construction, investment and hospitality. A woman of action known for her humility and fierce resolve, Charlotte has made an incredible contribution to the property and tourism industries over more than 60 years, inspiring generations of young people through her leadership and philanthropy. Charlotte Vidor was born in Poland in 1934 and arrived in Australia in 1948 as a teenager with her parents, having survived World War II and the atrocities of the Holocaust. Charlotte finished her schooling at Sydney Girls High School, topping the state in 2 subjects, and secured a scholarship to the University of Sydney to study pharmacy. In 1958, Charlotte married Ervin, a Hungarian immigrant who arrived in Australia 17 years old to start a new life. Charlotte worked as a pharmacist as Ervin undertook his commerce degree at the University of New South Wales and established a costume jewellery business. In 1963, Charlotte, Ervin and local builder Antonino, or Tony Stillone, founded TOGA, initially known as Progress Developments, kicking off with the development of 2 blocks of 9 units in the inner western Sydney suburb of Glebe. It was to be an enduring and successful partnership commercially and in friendship for both families. Charlotte and Ervin proved to be the dynamic duo with complementary skills and temperaments, with Charlotte focused on the building and construction side of the business, while Ervin found the development sites, made the deals and managed the finances. At the same time, they were raising their 3 young children. Family values were and remain core to the business, and TOGA grew to be a successful developer of residential and commercial projects.
My mother's success is really equally our father's success. So it's the complementary skills and their partnership that really sort of led to their success.
So my father was very entrepreneurial and a big risk taker, so he looked after more of the finances and finding all the opportunities, where my mother was more into the detail and looked after the day-to-day.
I mean, my mother is very resilient. She came from a place of tough upbringing. She survived the horrors of the Holocaust. I mean, she really went through some amazing things. So she's a very, she's tiny, but she's tough and very formidable.
And I think she sees adversity as a challenge. If I had to say what my mother's proudest achievement, it is without a question her children, her grandchildren.
It's very modest.
And great-grandchildren, 100%.
My grandma has refused to be defined by the adversity that she's faced at any point in her life and created a very close, crazy family in spite of everything that she faced. I think that everyone can see how humble she is, but that humility is not, it's not an act, it's really real. Everything she's done and everything she does, she's not doing it for any accolades or with any expectation of praise or anything like that. She's doing it for herself, for us, for others, because that's just who she is.
With an incredible capacity to learn and huge curiosity, Charlotte secured her auctioneers and real estate agents licenses and established a real estate business, Robert Edwards Real Estate, as part of the TOGA Group in the mid-1970s. And in 1988, she graduated as a Master in Urban Studies from Macquarie University. While holidaying in America in the 1980s, Charlotte and Ervin came across the concept of serviced apartments and felt it could work in Australia. Charlotte forged ahead, creating the Medina Randwick serviced apartment complex in 1982. A new hospitality offering which quickly gained popularity, where travellers could experience a home away from home.
The concept of serviced apartments in the early part of the 70s was absolutely revolutionary. And there were people who owned flats, as we called them then, or home units, and they rented them out. But the concept of owning whole buildings and servicing them and allowing people to have shorter term rents and commitments was very revolutionary. And it undoubtedly came from Charlotte and her husband. They were the trendsetters in that regard. She has brought to the industry very good thinking on how, indeed, one should look at property, how it's not just bricks and mortar, but it's the concept of people coming into it for short term and leaving, that it must accommodate what they need rather than what indeed might be traditional in the industry.
So Mrs. Vidor, as a leader, a very entrepreneurial leader, had such an impact on all of those who followed her. For a little lady, she is quite formidable and very smart, but with a big heart. Mrs. V always gave a lot of sound advice over the years to me. Conducting business in Germany was going to be very different, and it was, and certainly she knew that and helped me with some of the hurdles and was always very supportive. She was a very strong role model to all the women in the company. Her eye for detail was forensic. She missed nothing. Her ability to assess people and actually make time to speak with people. It didn't matter whether you were running the hotel or whether you were cleaning the rooms. She made time for everybody. And that was where the TOGA culture was born.
Charlotte's accomplishments go far beyond TOGA. She served as a member of the Australian Multicultural Council from 2014 to 2017, advising the federal government on multicultural affairs, and was a director of the Jewish Care Foundation Trust for a decade from 1995. Charlotte was also a director of Events New South Wales and Tourism New South Wales. In 2021, Charlotte was awarded the Member of the Order of Australia in recognition of her significant service to the multicultural community, tourism and urban planning. Her leadership was celebrated when she was named on the New South Wales Honour Roll International Women's Day in 2006.
So I worked hard and I dedicated myself to the outcome of the job with TOGA, and I think Lottie, but I still call her Mrs. V, she's Mrs. V to me. Mrs. V resonated with that and I guess appreciated that, so she kept giving me things and throwing me opportunities. She was my wings, basically, so I was very fortunate that she saw something in me that I probably didn't see in myself at the time, but because of that she kept throwing me opportunities and taught me everything that I know today. The beautiful part about Mrs. V is she doesn't put herself forward to be seen in that light, but by being herself, by being the woman that she is and by building the business that she's built, she has given women strength and women courage across the whole industry, and everyone needs a Mrs. V in their life, and I'm very, very lucky to have had Mrs. V in my life, and I don't take it for granted, and I am still very appreciative of the opportunities that she's provided to me in my life.
Charlotte is a dedicated philanthropist, supporting causes in the arts, education, medicine and the environment.
I came to meet Charlotte Vidor through her work in support of Jewish care. And at that time I also came to meet Ervin, her husband, and Alan, her son, and other members of the Vidor family. One of those areas in which she has provided very significant support is St Vincent's Hospital, where I've been pleased to have been involved for very many years. Charlotte has assisted St Vincent's with significant financial contributions. Other leaders could learn from Charlotte the need to recognise areas requiring philanthropic support within our community, and doing so through thoughtful examination and review of what those needs are, and how one could best meet those needs. In the field of business and property, it's the role that women can play in the property field. And she has demonstrated this by being one of the driving forces behind the development of the TOGA business. A most important legacy is her family, where Charlotte continues to play such a leading role.
The TOGA Group today is a major, fully integrated Australian business with development and construction, hotel and property investment businesses, and hospitality operations across Australia, New Zealand and Europe. Most recently, TOGA was awarded the AFR Boss Best Places to Work for 2024 in the property, construction and transport sectors.
So Charlotte and TOGA have reshaped the property landscape, seeing firsthand the quality of their development, which my family bought in Edgecliff in Sydney. Is a testament to the quality of the family and their passion to develop brilliant real estate. TOGA and Charlotte Vidor showed foresight over 30 years ago in the establishment of their business, and that model was around build to rent, essentially through the Adina and Medina service apartments and hotels. That model hasn't developed in Australia in a meaningful way until now. So really they were pioneers in relation to build to rent, essentially, in this country.
Today we induct Charlotte Vidor AM to the Australian Property Hall of Fame in honour of her exceptional contribution. She has been a pioneer for women in construction and development, created new hospitality asset classes, and generously helped many young people grow their careers. Her philanthropy and work in multiculturalism has made a far-reaching and enduring impact on the lives of many across our communities.